So Ari is set up in a fantasy world that is called Valdi. Valdi is separated in 4 regions, one for each season. So we have spring, summer, fall and winter. But suddenly something changed and the seasons are out of balance, and that's how the whole game starts. Ari gets a letter, her father is supposed to go but is not capable of going, so she's going instead of him, and she's starting to unroll a whole story of finding out what happened with the season.
It's definitely a coming of age story, so I think she first has to deal with growing up and figuring out her place in her family, but also her place in the world as a little girl that's like taking on responsibilities that are not necessarily given to her at birth, because it's not necessarily her role to go on this quest.
So Ari is a puzzle action adventure. You're playing as Ari. She's a little girl that have the power of controlling the season. So controlling the season allows you to change the whole environment within the sphere of season. You can use that for platforming, jumping around. You can, for example, jump in winter, having ice platform that appear and cancel that season and jump into another one, which is spring and had like vines that grow up, and then you can climb on the vines and so on. When we created Ari, gameplay came first and then we put everything around it. So it was like, what should we do with that season feature? What kind of elements should we bring into it? And the whole scenario, the whole game, the whole story went around that. So the inspiration behind the season was, first, it's something that I worked when I was very young on RPG Maker. It was like a small project where you could have season around. But then afterwards, that thing stayed on the side and I never touched it again. So one day I was in a train with some friends going to a gaming event, and I was talking about the fact that it could be cool to have some shifting seasons around into a game, but not in a 2D game but in a 3D game, which is way more complicated than just in a 2D game, and they kind of challenged me to try it, and within a week I had a prototype. After a month or two I started to share that on Twitter. The response on Twitter were amazing, and that's how I knew actually that I kind of had something.
Ari is a hub-based system, so it's not exactly like an open world. When you're in the region of Yule or the region of Lamestide, you're going to feel like it's an open world, but then you will have some transfer time when you move from a region to another. But then once you enter a region, in those zones you're going to be able to kind of see what the NPCs that are living there, what the families and the population, and what are they doing, what are they up to every day. You might get to help them out, learn about their stories, and yeah, make yourself a little bit more popular as you help them along in their own problems.
One of the nice things that we have with Ari is that we are constantly running 4 worlds at the same time. Every hubs of the game will have a lot of hidden stuff that you have to use your season power to actually open some path and access to things that were not accessible before. The puzzle solving in the game was a challenge for us in terms of level design, because Ari kind of stopped at nothing. She can swim, she can jump, she can't climb on walls. So to design proper puzzles, it took us a bit of time, but now that we have a grip on it, we can go very, very crazy. The traversing in Ari is it's quite in itself a puzzle and a challenge. So for combat in Ari, you can seamlessly go from exploration to combat, beat some enemy and then go back to exploration.
So skilled players can use the seasons to their advantage a lot more often. Some enemies also interact in different ways with the season bubbles. The player can find different ways to weaken enemies and defeat them.
In Ari, for the combat, we want to bring it back to the original nostalgic roots, however bring a few new elements, such as again the seasons, to the table. It's a smooth, fast-paced combat where you're able to jump from one enemy to another, combine those season powers all together, and really bring it to your advantage.
So actually when you are fighting in Ari, it's also kind of solving a puzzle.
I think her first trials and tribulations are going to be about figuring out her place and what she believes in and what she wants to fight for. There's, you know, foes and traps and all of that more classic stuff, but I think it's also a coming of age story.